Right, we're in with number 5, and number 5 was a very important part of the whole process. It's number 4. And do you remember what number 5 was all about? That's right, it was all about a disappointment. Oh god. So it's a disappoint. Right, that's just a single word there for a second, but at the same time we're going to do this in 9 minutes, right? So in those 9 minutes we're going to go through quite a few things, but at the same time we've got the real life example, which is the weather. I'll come back to that in a second, but you'll know from last time I came up with something that I thought, you know, how much time have you got, right? And that's just a silly question. We're just going to leave that as it is. I don't need to know just yet, but it's just you to start thinking about it. And I tried my best. You know, I started getting somewhere. I got all the blues and I got the greens and I got nearly there, and even the yellows I got there. There's only one white missing, and I got even the whites, and I started to get there, but I spent so much time on it, and I know it's going to happen, and the time's like going, but I was doing the best I could. I thought I could do it, but because I just didn't have enough time, I've ended up with something that's it's not quite there, but because now it's all finished, that's the best I got, right? So it's like, it's sort of a Rubik's Cube finished, isn't it? But it's the best I could do. Well, I should have looked at it sooner. I should have done something about it. I might have spoken to someone who could have showed me how to do it, but I've never done it. First time I've done it, didn't work, right? So is this right for you? Okay, the important bit here is trying to understand that, because when some people are disappointed and it hasn't happened, it's generally because things weren't acted upon to try and get the results people needed. And when you're looking at thoughts like that and reasons for that, there's even the opposite side, when people didn't realize that actually they could have got a much better result, but they just didn't do it, right? So we're trying to get this disappointment out of the system. But what we did ask you last time was a question about how much time have you got, and that was what we represented. We don't need to know the answer yet. We're going to do it in silver, but we'll come back to it then. And there's a little bit when people thinking about it, so when they look at things and they find something's come up and they find it, I didn't expect this, it's a bit disappointing. And even when we're expecting things, a famous quote which is, no expectations equals no disappointments. So we're going to get back on the board, and I'm going to use a black and a red pen, right? The same principle, we're going to give a big reminder on how it works. But firstly, I'm going to move this bit of time, right? Now this bit is going to be put aside because we're going to do something separate, which is all about a clock, still related to time, and so many things are going to be. But when we start the disappointment area and it builds up, how did it work and how does it affect a lot of people? Well, early on, people start thinking, I've not looked into this in the way maybe I should have done, you know, and as it gets a bit further, it's the lack of effort has gone in, and it's been, even my events and efforts have been pretty inefficient. I haven't tried to do much, to be honest, and I'm a bit set back because I'm a busy person anyway, you know, and I can see some of these silly mistakes weren't done, and, you know, I'm starting to feel a little bit disappointed about the whole thing, and, you know, it's not just disappointment. If it keeps going like this, it could be just such a blow to my situation, and it's a bit of a fiasco anyway. It's a bit confusing as well, and you know, it's a bit of a failure so far. I could have done better, and I don't want a failure, but I do feel a bit let down because it wasn't just about me. It was about people supposed to have helped me, and you know, it is getting to a position where it's getting a bit of a financial regret. And this is, I've heard this before, but at the same time, if it goes further than that, it's going to be some kind of financial disaster, and I do not want this. I'll be super disappointed if that happens. Now, that's still related to time, and what I'm going to show you next and take you further forward is a quick reminder, and that's about a big letter T. And the gold T is the bit from the area, from the gold area. There was 11 other letters, and this is number 1, the big gold T. And obviously, you know it relates to time. But above that, we're just going to also get on the board and give you the reminder of what's happened and where we are now. So what we did, we brought the emotional bit at the top, and we brought in slice number 1, the very important plan, and we showed how that's constructed, which is we've got a time of now, and we've got the time of then. But also put another then in the middle, which is all about stopping work and doing something different. And then we built the worries in, and even when we go all the way back, we had the boredom number 2, the frustration number 3, the worry number 4, and number 5, we're building on that. And that's when disappointment came in, because these are related. Right? So it's just a disappoint at that stage. But not just that, we then also started to show you how these work. So the worries is different from the boredom, different from the frustration, but at the same time, I'm just going to borrow the red pen because we're going to show you how the disappointment works. Now, similar to the worry, it's a bit of a roller coaster disappointment. There's lots of disappointments on and off all the time. But this one with To Move Money can follow sort of worry around a bit. It gets close to the stop work bit and it goes right up. And it can start to drift away and come all the way down back to the finish, right? Because that disappointment can last for a bit, but it'll come down as time progresses. Same principle there is also, we've got that area when we're looking at time, we're also make a slight change. And this is the then for stop work, but I'm going to take that off. Still shows the time position, but then we're going to bring down the other then, right? And you'll see something's relating here, we're trying to show it. But not just that and not put it together, we've got the checklist that we need to answer. And he's very important on this area because he knows number 5, A, is why do you think, or what do you think the common reason is why people are disappointed? What's the most common? So what's the most common reason for disappointment? Right, we just want an answer there. And also we got 5B, and you know what? That's a super important one because it's all about you. And question is, are you disappointed with something to do with finance or money? Right, so are you disappointed? Now, with finance stroke money, right? And all we just want this is a yes or a no. Dead straightforward, right? So we're gonna give him the pen back and give him a quick normal salute. With that done, we're also going to think about how people are thinking, you know, and some people think things like this, right? But then others think things like this. And everyone is different in different ways. At the same time, to focus on it properly and look at it in the right way, we can start focusing on this emotion of the disappointment. And you know what? There is also an antonym of that, which is also the opposite, yeah? And that could be that something is not disappointing. It's got an achievement there, or it's a bit of a success. Right? So we want to make sure that we can focus on this, because if we don't focus on it, it might be difficult to even prevent some kind of disappointment even coming towards you, or we can try and avoid it, right? But it can be for different things. And some people will even be thinking things like this. Right? Again, everybody is different, so we're fine with that, but at the same time, we just want to focus on it. So what we're going to do, give it on a green tick at this stage, because that's where we've got to. But also, we're going to take number 5, the disappointment bit, and we're going to score that. Red, which I'm not sure about this yet. Amber, which I want to think about this a bit, think about it a bit more. Or green, which is fine. I totally get this. Let's keep going. And you know what? Even in where we are at the minute, the weather is starting to get down in the real life example. And you know what? It's getting a bit darker, because what's going to happen the next stage is we're going to go above 4 and above 5. We're going to be in number 6. And what do you think that's about? But before we get there, let's just quickly check the pillar. So it's a pillar example, which is all about the way people feel, but also in this one, it's about a piggy bank who's actually asleep. And that's what people do. They're actually asleep and they just don't focus on things properly, and all of a sudden something can come up and it's a big disappointment. So we're going to focus on this. But if you know anybody who does think, you know, I might end up being a bit disappointed and doesn't want to be, please do share. So I'm going to take number 5. I'm going to see you on the big progress board in a second. But you know what, I actually forgot to just say, I was very disappointed with something this morning, and I don't want to say it too loud, but I was very disappointed because I didn't get a bacon sandwich, right? So shh. But I didn't want to say it too loud there, but I'll see you soon.